Hey, that's me. And that is the iPhone 12 in my hands. I have been using one since the day it came out, and I don't know if you've noticed this or not, every time there's a new iPhone, the one thing that gets the strongest push from Apple in terms of marketing is the camera. With every launch, it feels like the camera is hugely upgraded from just the previous generation. And that is true in certain aspects like the aperture size or the sensor size or the pixel size. But the average consumer like me just doesn't understand most of it. So I had an idea. I thought of comparing the iPhone 12's camera with some older iPhones to find out if there is actually a noticeable difference between the quality. So with the help of my friend Anil, I arranged for an iPhone 7 Plus from 2016, which still looks incredible in that matte finish. I also got the iPhone 10 from 2017 and the evergreen iPhone XR from 2018. I did not get the iPhone 11 because no one should really upgrade from the 11 to the 12 just for the camera. It's still very fresh. In fact, just recently in the Amazon sale, a lot of people bought the iPhone 11. So actually the truth is I just could not arrange the iPhone 11. But the second thing I did was to get in touch with my old friend Sahil to help me shoot this comparison in Connaught Place, New Delhi. Luckily, Sahil got in touch with his old friend Sayyam to basically help us both shoot this entire video.
Hello guys, welcome to our channel. His channel. Today I was the guest on their show. बहुत अच्छा लगा शूट करके. हम मनोफी पाई खाने जा रहे हैं. Thank you.
Honestly, this video would not have been possible without these three guys. So we started off by taking a shot of the very iconic buildings of Connaught Place against the sky, right before the golden hour with great amount of light. And as you can see, it's hard to tell which image came from which device if I don't tell you myself. But if I manually put the iPhone 12 shot on top of the other shots, that is when you realize just how properly exposed the iPhone 12 shot is, especially when compared to the iPhone 7. And this is consistent throughout unless you're taking a dead simple plain shot in great light. In that situation, every camera produces really great images which look almost identical. But in some cases, it can be a marginal improvement. One thing to note is that there is not much difference when compared with the iPhone XR. It's a noticeable difference only when compared with the iPhone 7 and maybe even the iPhone 10 in some cases. There are a few exceptions though, like in this specific shot of me, every older iPhone, including the iPhone XR, has produced a lot of contrast and even the colors are a bit dull, but the iPhone 12 fixes that. It produces a very neutral looking shot. But I honestly think that this is mostly because of the software rather than the hardware. Like this shot from almost every other phone looks exactly the same, but when the iPhone 12 comes in, it's got a perfect blue sky and even the building is well lit. This is practically impossible to come from such a tiny sensor. We even took a bunch of food shots and every previous iPhone produced almost exactly the same shot, but the iPhone 12 increased the saturation. This was pretty consistent as well. Now, I was most excited for portrait shots, mainly because I desperately needed a picture for myself in a different outfit, but there are a few things to note in portrait mode. First, the 7 Plus takes portrait images at 2x focal length, so you have to move a bit or else कुछ ऐसा shot आ जाएगा. Second, the iPhone XR can't take portrait shots of objects, and that can be limiting. But as far as the quality of the shots is concerned, even here it's hard to recognize which image came from which phone until of course I tell it to you myself. What has improved is the contrast and exposure. The edge detection unfortunately is still not as accurate, especially when taking portrait shots of the products. Although the iPhone 12 has a very DSLR-like background blur, it tries to replicate the bokeh balls, but I think the 4-year-old iPhone 7 took the best shot here. It's got the best edge detection. Then there are the Lowlight Shots. It's again really hard to notice the difference here. I'm pretty sure a lot of people will not be able to guess which image came from which phone. In fact, even when I tell you which image came from which phone, it's actually hard to recognize the differences. But if you look closely, the iPhone 12 in this shot has properly exposed the skin tones, the walls, and most importantly the floor. Now, the 12 has a dedicated night mode which none of the other phones in this comparison have, and I was pretty excited to check that out, but in my usage, unfortunately the difference in low light shots was not substantial even with night mode enabled. It can produce some cool light trail shots if you attach it to the tripod. I'm pretty sure that the rest of the phones will also be able to do that, but with a third-party app. The only difference is iPhone 12 does it with the stock app. The only area where I actually found a substantial difference was in the selfies. So I took an early morning selfie against the light coming from the window. Just wanted to make it as difficult as possible. And as you can see, there is a gradual improvement in the exposure of the face, with the iPhone 12 completely destroying the iPhone 7 and the iPhone 10. The iPhone 7 and the 10 are actually useless. Lastly, there is video. I shot a lot of video on the iPhone 12, but this shot we took from all the 4 phones, and because the iPhone 12 shoots in HDR, there is a noticeable difference in color. Compared to the others, the iPhone 12 video is just more colorful, and to be honest, that is the kind of difference I wanted to see in the photos as well from the main cameras. But turns out, if you buy even the iPhone XR or the latest iPhone SE, you'll be more than satisfied with the camera. The 12 does have an ultra-wide lens which can be a lot of fun, but even the iPhone 11 has that, and they are very familiar. So at the end, I am definitely a bit disappointed because I wanted to see a major difference, but I'm not surprised. I did expect this kind of a result because there's never really such a drastic difference after every successive upgrade. It's mostly only noticeable when you compare the latest product with something that is 3 or 4 generations old. But there's a lot more than the camera in the iPhone 12, and I will be talking about it in various other videos that I'm going to be making on the iPhone 12 and the iPhone 12 mini, including the full review. So make sure to turn on all the notifications after subscribing, obviously. That's been it. I hope you enjoyed this quick one, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.